Hi everyone, it's me, Miss Branch, the art teacher. And for today's project, we are going to paint a panda. Now, what we're going to learn in this project is again, we have our contrasting colors because the panda is the biggest contrasting colors that we have in the animal kingdom. Well, that zebra, well, there's lots of other things. But anyway, because I don't think a panda actually camouflages in with its environment. Interesting. Anyway, we also going to talk about some background and overlapping when we create our panda. And we'll be using lots of shapes to create the panda. First, we're going to draw it and then you're going to paint it. Now, if you want to change up some things and make it like what we call artistic license, where the artist gets to choose the colors instead of the natural colors that something look in, that is totally up to you. But let me go ahead and switch my cameras so that we can get started. All right, so we have our paper, and you're probably going to draw with a pencil, but I'm going to draw with a Sharpie just to make sure that everyone sees my lines. And what we're going to start with are the eyes. So let me go ahead and we're just going to draw a little circle. I'll bring the camera in a little closer. All right, so near the middle, not all the way to the bottom and not all the way to the top, near the middle, I'm going to add one circle and give a good little space. And I'm going to draw a second little circle. Now, inside those circles, we're going to place another circle for what's called the highlight or reflection, where the light reflects off the eyes. Now, when drawing eyes, the light, it reflects off both eyes in the same spot. So if I have one here, I can't have one down at the bottom. That's just not how the light hits the eyes works. So now I'm going to draw another circle around it, a little bigger, because what we drew first was the pupils or the iris, the part of the eye that has the color. Now, pandas do have these big triangles or oval oblong shapes around their eyes that kind of makes their eyes hidden. So I'm just going to make like a weird wide circle. And I'm gonna do the same thing on this side. It'll come out wide, come back in. And that's okay if they're not the same size because you're an artist and sometimes when we're drawing things aren't the same size. Or if we want to make it the same size, we can always go back and add. Now I am drawing with a pencil, but all I know is that if I add on to this to make them the same size, it'll just get covered up once I add the paint. So I'm not so worried about erasing or trying to make things look perfect, and it's perfectly fine. Now, in between these eyes is where I'm going to start the nose, and I'm going to start it like with making a little sad face. And this looks weird, even though this is the nose. This looks like it could be another animal, like a big puffy fish or bullfrog or something. All right, so but now I'm gonna make the bottom of the nose, and to do that, I'm just gonna connect like with the V, but I'm not gonna make it pointy. I'm gonna make it curve. So I'm gonna just curve down and curve up, and it still looks like it could be something. It's like I'm starting a puppy. Now, I'm gonna add what I like to call it's a hook, but a letter J and a backwards letter J for the mouth. Yep, still looking like a puppy. But a lot of animals with that long snout part of the face, or when you're drawing them, it looks like it could be anything. Like it could be a bunny, it could be a mouse, it could be all kinds of things because they all tend to have the same kind of features. But now what I'm going to do is finish the head off by drawing like a big U shape or a letter C shape to cover the bottom, and just go from one side and up to the other. And now I'm gonna bring this in some for the head. So I'm just gonna bring that in and keep that C shape going and then come back around. Now, in my other drawing, the one I showed you earlier, I ended up drawing a bigger forehead area. And it's fine if you end up with a bigger forehead area or even a smaller forehead area. It is totally fine, however it turns out. Now let's see. Let's see, the ears are like a big semicircle or more than a semicircle because a semicircle is half of a circle, whereas the ears, they really look kind of like Mickey Mouse ears or C shape. So I'm just going to draw a big C shape on this side. And then I'm going to do a big C shape on this side. And it touches the side of the head. So now let's focus on the rest of the body. Now we're just going to have the panda sitting. And so we're just going to use like a little U shape and then tilt those in because he's sitting with his legs up. Like, yeah, like when you see crisscross applesauce, except his legs aren't crossed. So what I'm going to do is do a U shape over here. And then I'll do another one on this side. So I have my two U shapes for its arms. And one does look like it's a little further in than the other. And it's totally fine. And now I'm going to add the feet that are on the outside. I'll just add another C shape and another C shape. And now we're going to add the padding on the bottom of the foot, which shows where the toes are. Now, I think pandas have like 4 or even 5 like humans, but for my cartoon-like drawings, I just usually do 3. And then add the padding for the foot. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. 1, 2, 3. And then add the padding for the foot. And then I'm just going to connect right here in the bottom where it's bottom. Now, right here, I'm going to draw a line because pandas have like a white head and black and black arms and then white tummy and then black legs. So I'm just going to draw a line there so that I know where I'm going to stop when I make my black and white area. Now, in this picture, I drew some rectangles and left some space in between for the bamboo. Now, you can draw them or you don't have to. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll do half drawn, and let me see if I have one of my old paintings. Yeah, this one. Well, this one actually I did it in marker, but I didn't draw the rectangles on this side. I just drew with the marker. And then I went back and traced one side just so that people could see it better. But you can see up here where it's just pure color. You don't have to draw the rectangles, but if you feel better doing that, I'll do half drawn and then I'll do half without the lines. So I'll do that so in case you need to see how it's done. So what we're going to do now is pretend like all this bamboo is behind this panda. Now, the reason why we're drawing bamboo is because that's their main food staple. So I'm just going to start a rectangle, and it looks like it's coming out of his foot, but it's really still drawn to look like it's behind. Now, I'm going to add a little space in between because bamboo is the world's tallest and fastest growing grass. So it has all these little spaces in when it has like these little growth spurts. That's what I'm assuming, these little areas. And if you want to add a leaf, just draw a line. And it's kind of like a sad face and a happy face, and it connect. I'll do one down here. A little line and a sad face and a happy face, and it connect. You can make the line go further and you can add in some of the veins. Let's see, I'll do another one on this side where I drew it. Again, now because I have that leaf there, I can't draw the whole thing. So again, that's look like it's going behind it. And again, we're showing some overlapping in art when things look like they are in front of something else. Let's see. So this is good right here. Now, like I said, on this side, I'm going to just do pure painting. I'm not going to draw the lines. I'll just do that on that side. Now, as you can see in my painting, I did some blue sky, green and brown bamboo, and then I put the rest of the green and brown in little dabs on the bottom. The panda, of course, is black, and I did his pad on his feet pink. And well, I'm gonna just kind of repeat these same colors. So let's see. I have a palette. What I didn't put in the palette was my blue. So I'm gonna just go ahead and put a little drop of blue. Yeah, that's more than plenty. You really do not need a lot of paint. And you know what I just decided? I want this to be a lighter blue. So what I'm going to do is add in some white. And by adding in white with the blue, I'm going to make a tint. Now, tints are when you add white to a color so that it gets lighter. But right now, I'm gonna go ahead and get my brush and I'm gonna paint the pink areas on my foot first. I always tend to like to paint the light areas first, then go back and paint in my dark areas. So let's see, I got my pink and I'm gonna go ahead and paint the feet, the padding on the feet, and just take my time. I'm using my smaller brush. I do have a larger brush too. And when I opened up the blue paint, a little splashed onto my picture, but I'm okay with it because I'm just going to cover it up with black paint. So it's not the end of the world. It's not a big deal. So now what I'm going to do is rinse out my bristles. And notice I'm sweeping it across the bottom. Then I'm going to wipe. When I wiped, I didn't have any pink paint left in the bristles because when I wiped, the water came out clear. That tells me I'm okay to touch my next color. Now, my next lightest color really is going to be this green. So I'm going to go ahead and you know what? I want to use a bigger. I'm going to use the bigger brush. And I'm going to go ahead and paint my bamboo on this side. And I'm just going to stay inside the lines. And again, I got these leaves. It's going to be the same color as the bamboo. And let's see. I'm going to just keep going. Just take my time. Now, when you're brush painting, you need to treat the bristles very gently. The lighter you paint, the easier the paint goes on. So the paint does not dry out as quickly and you can't spread it. So you always want to paint gently with the paint bristles. Paint gently, soft. Kind of like when you're touching a new kitten or a puppy, and when you were little, your parents would tell you, soft, soft, be careful. So that's kind of the same thing you do with the paintbrush. Now on this side, I said I was going to paint it without the lines. So now I'm just going to get a little bit more green paint and I'm going to just pick a spot and make a little dash and then make another dash and another dash. So you know, I'm going to turn my paper around just because I'm left-handed and I don't want my hand blocking your view. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the rest of my paint, um, my bamboo, and I'm going to paint another one coming up this way. I'm just going to run into his face and I'm going to pretend that this goes behind the head. Keep going. So dash, dash, dash. So a little bit of that one will be coming out right about here behind the ear. And the next piece. And again, if you want a stem, now I'm just going to paint the stem with the green real quick and then paint a sad and a happy face and paint on it. And I'll come back and do some details on it later. And I'm going to give myself a stem and then a happy and a sad face, a smile. Do some off the paper so that the picture plane is not just limited to where we are. I'll add another one going off the paper a little bit like that. That looks cool. So now I'm going to go ahead and switch out my paintbrush. I'm going to clean that off first. And again, I'm just swishing it around in the water basin and wiping on the edge. And I see that it's clean. But now I'm going to switch to my smaller brush because I want to do the brown little spacing in between. I'm going to get a little bit. And I'm just going to add in like a little horizon line or where the ground ends right here. I'll go ahead and finish these. And I can use my brown if I want to create the stem. All right. And so there's that. And since I still have some brown on my brush, I'm just going to go ahead and just dab it around on the ground like some little leaves that are turning brown, a little dirt. Just spread it around and enjoy. All right. So now I think, let's see, go. I'm going to go switch to my bigger brush again because, no, let me stick to the small brush. I'll do the eyes first. So the eyes are a small area, so that's why I switched to my small brush. So I'm going to go ahead and do the inside the eye. Just getting a little paint and gently and taking my time. And now I can do around the eye. I'm going to do around the eye, the part that I know the big brush couldn't get into. I'm going to do around this eye too. Get that little area. And I'm going to go ahead and do the nose. Then I'm going to switch to my bigger brush. There we go. And rinse this out. And now I'm going to get my bigger brush and wiping the extra water out. And now I can finish up my eyes. And that big area where I made that mistake and I just fixed it by drawing the line again. And then I can do my ears. Take my time, go around the edges. If you drag the paintbrush ever so gently, you can get straight lines and trace the edges. And I'm going to do the same on this side. And as I paint this side, here we go, I'm going to finish this eye. Again, just gently drag the brush, you'll get a straight line. And then fill that in. And now I'm going to do this bottom part down here. Oh, I'm going to need my small brush again. I need to go around those toes. I'll have some trouble getting this big brush around the toes on the pad of the feet. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these arms first. Again, just dragging around the sides. And I can stay in the line. And there's one. Oh. And then let's see, underneath. And I can go ahead and cross over this line here because it's all going to be the same color. And then here we go. Yeah, I better use my little brush for this area. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse out this bristles. And I'm going to switch back to the smaller brush and paint around the pads on the feet. Taking my time. Again, you don't have to rush when you come to painting. Just take your time and paint gently with the bristles. Because if you paint hard, it's like all the paint goes out in that first spot that you press down hard, and then it's hard to spread any more paint. And there's one, and then we have the second one done. Almost. There's a few spaces to go. See? And there we have our panda. And I'm going to go back and see if there's any spots I missed when I was painting. Another thing I can do is go back over with the black again, make some areas darker because this is washable paint and washable paint has soap in it already. And so then it does, it's already a little washed out when you paint with it. So it doesn't have a dark, rich color versus the regular paint. I accidentally got a little black on the eye, but it'll be okay. I just did that again. But here we have our panda painting. Oh, the sky behind it. Let me do that. Ah, I almost forgot. Now, because I have all my background done, I probably should have painted my sky first, then came back in um with my bamboo, but it's okay. So I mixed this white in with this blue to make it lighter. And I'm just going to use that to paint in between. But I got a little too much on my brush. So now I'm just going to put it on the paper in one spot for a moment and I can just dip back in that spot if I need to. And just take my time and paint in between my bamboo grass. Another thing you can do is I'm going to turn the paper to make it easier for me to reach areas instead of having to turn my body. There we go. Mhm. Mhm. There we go. Now, these big areas, I can switch back to my big brush, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish all these little areas first. And then I can come back in with the bigger brush and fill that in. Or just take your time with the small brush and fill it in as you go. Either way, it works. Again, I can't stress this enough. Paint softly and the paint spreads easier versus painting hard and press it down. I'll show you in case you don't know. If you press down hard, you end up with these little spaces. Then you have to go back and fill them in, which then adds to your painting time. And maybe it doesn't look as uniform as it was looking before. So again, just paint softly and let the bristles do the work for you, like you're sweeping. I'm gonna go ahead and do this side. And again, if you just drag the brush gently, you can make straight lines. And I'll get some more paint. And just drag gently. Just take your time. And then again, just turn your paper to make it easy for you. Let me get this corner right here. So it's in the screen. Let's see. Go ahead and get in this little area here. And over here. Picked up some black somewhere. Oh, that little corner right there on the panda's arm was still a little wet. It's okay. I just added a little more blue on it. And that'll cover that up. There we go. And here we have our panda. We were able to show some background. We were able to use tint. And we were able to show contrast because the panda is one of the animals that has contrast in its coloring. All right, everyone, let me switch my screen. So that was another art lesson where you got to paint and you got to learn about overlapping and making some tints and some contrast. So everyone, I will see you in the next picture or the next video, not picture.